Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is your host, JC Soto. In today's business world, we need help. We need to find a way to grow our business, have less stress, also have a way to give what we don't need to be doing ourselves to somebody else to help us out. That they're professionals that will help us get the things that we're not supposed to be doing ourselves so we can concentrate on the things that will help grow the business. With that in mind, I have an expert today that will help us understand that. Her name is Rose Sackrison, and she's the founder of Heather Rose Virtual Services. She's also a consultant and an international public speaker. So welcome to the show, Heather.
Hey, JC, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. I want to talk to you about this virtual services because I heard so many things about it, and yet people are resistant to hire somebody to help them out. They're resistant to delegate all those tasks that sometimes they slow them down and keep the business from growing. So can you tell me and tell us a little bit about your business and how you help your clients and your customers?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been working in virtual services for a little over a year now. And I help my clients with all of their back-end administrative tasks and social media and stuff like that. All the little things that just take up time in their day that would be better spent on other things that, either make them money or actually move their business forward. And so you were talking a little bit about how people are hesitant to hire a virtual assistant. And something that I've definitely noticed with entrepreneurs is that when you start these businesses, you are in every single aspect, right? You have to learn everything. You have to start everything by yourself. And you get so personally invested in everything that happens. I mean, obviously it's your business and it's kind of, your butt on the line if something goes wrong. So to hand it over to somebody can feel really stressful because you don't know if they're going to treat it like you would, because you basically treat it like your child. You treat it like, because you created it and you grew it to this beautiful thing, but now you need help because it's so much bigger than you. And you just want to hold on to it instead of let it go and let somebody else take care of it, which can be a real shame, but it's completely understandable. Yeah.
And you said something that, one of the fears is that as a virtual assistant, you're not going to take care of the business as well as the owner. That's one big fear. I think probably that's the biggest fear we all have. What are the fears that they bring to you when they want to talk to you about maybe help them out with social media or podcasting, whatever it is?
Well, I think it all stems from that you won't take care of it like they will, but that you won't get results. Because if they're going to be paying you, they're afraid that they'll just be, spinning their wheels because they're just paying you to do things and nothing's happening. Which when you're hiring a virtual assistant, you do need to do the research to find somebody who actually knows what they're doing. Because there are plenty out there that have very little experience or training and they will be spinning your wheels. But yeah, it all stems from they're not going to take care of it like I would because it's not their business, which is completely true. But also, you get a virtual assistant who is an expert in social media. You get a virtual assistant who is an expert at travel plans, who is, that kind of thing. They will do it better in that area, but they aren't replacing you. And that, I think, is where it comes from, that they're not afraid. The entrepreneurs aren't necessarily afraid of being replaced, but that they kind of want to make a second one of themselves and they can't because they're the only ones that can do what they do.
And there's some misinformation about virtual assistants out there. I mean, there's some things that maybe a business owner might have in his mind, a false belief about what an assistant can do for them or how they can help them out. Because in my view, a virtual assistant is there to help. It's an assistant, not to do the whole business for you, but to help you move along and do the things that you better off handing off to somebody else. And I call it doing a $5 task and a $100 mentality, because when a business owner is there, his mentality is to grow the business, $100 an hour maybe or more, but they're stuck doing $5 or $10 jobs or tasks that better off handing it to somebody else. So what kind of misinformation you see out there about virtual assistant and all those type of services that you provide?
Yeah, well, I think some of the misinformation that I've heard is because I do a lot of the administrative stuff, more so than social media. There are social media expert virtual assistants out there, and they're just phenomenal. And I don't understand how they can keep up with it. They're amazing. But they have a hard time realizing that gaining the time back will be so valuable. Like you were saying, they have $100 hours, which they should be spending on $100 tasks, but they're spending them on $5 to $10 tasks, which they could pay me to do. And it might take me even less time because that's all I'm doing. I'm not focusing on the broad spectrum of their business. But they see it as I should just do it myself, because if I just pay somebody else to do it, then where am I even going? Like they get into that, not really poverty mindset, but not the millionaire mindset.
Yes.
Yeah. Where it's hard to see a return on the stuff that I do.
The growth mindset, and something that also that they got to remember is that you, as that professional, you have the software, you have the training, you have the connection, you have the skills, you have anything that is needed for that specific task. It's not like you have to go and learn it, as opposed to a business owner, because they might know social media marketing or Photoshop or any of this stuff that needs to be done, but you have the access to people that can do it, or you can do it yourself because you've been doing it for so long now, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that's kind of hard for them to see is the work that I do is more, like I said, administrative and back end. And so it can be hard to see a return because my stuff doesn't necessarily make them money, right? But when they were doing it, it wasn't making them money either. So they have to, it can be hard. You have to kind of hold their hand and be like, it's going to be okay. You're going to have so much more time to do the stuff that makes you money or builds your brand or just makes them happy. Like seriously, some of this stuff they just hate doing because it's not what makes them feel the way they want to feel. And I'm just like, I know that, me taking care of your email list or taking care of the copy on your website, that might not be like a snap. Oh, you just made $200 because I fixed that thing. Like it may have happened, but it probably won't. And so it's hard for them to see the value when they're paying for me to do something that they could do themselves.
Yeah, exactly. But it's necessary to get it done. A lot of times, like us business owners, we get into a task that take you maybe 30 minutes. And for us, will take you 4 or 5 hours to figure it out because we get so jammed up in understanding what needs to be done and learning it. And sometimes making mistakes and trying to fix those mistakes that takes longer to fix it than just to hand it off to somebody else for $10, $15 an hour. And we could be out there networking or selling or making cold calling or do something that will produce money, produce income, produce a return of the invested time. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, those fears that we talked about earlier, how do you get people to get past those fears? Fear of, you're not going to take care of their baby as your own. You're not going to help the business grow. All these things that they have in their minds. How do you help them get past that point?
Well, for me, it helps that I have such a bubbly personality. And I can kind of make people feel at ease. So that definitely helps. And I have had to like I said, you have to hold their hand and be like, it's going to be okay. This is what I'm going to do for you so that you can do this. If I make the connection for them, it helps a lot, but I have to get to know them for a while because I have to get to know where their genius zone is, it's interesting as a virtual assistant because I have to get to know that business owner very well and understand what makes them tick. I even like to do personality tests to see like where they're at so I can understand when something is happening, if they're upset about something or if they like if I start to feel stressed out by something that they're doing, I can start to understand why and we can talk about it. But I try to do that. I try to get in their heads a little bit to figure out, okay, so why is this stressing you out so much? Because we have it handled. And just it's a lot of communication and a lot of hand holding. And some people are like, please take it. Like, here is what I want you to do. Just do it. And then there are some people, I do have one client that it's been very hard to get projects out of them because they're just not sure what they want me to handle. They know that I can, but they've been doing it themselves for so long that it's hard to hand it over. And then there's another client I have that has just millions of tasks every single day. And they just keep rolling through it and they email me maybe 20 times a day. And it's great because we get so much done. But it's a lot of getting to know that client and getting to know what they need and what's going through their head especially when they're hesitant.
So you have to be like a parent. You got to be really patient, psychologist, a preacher. I mean, you got to have all these different hats to be able to deal with different personalities because their mentality is different. The mindset is different. And
yes,
their journey, they're at a different point in the journey. So they, at first they're probably really concerned about handing off control. But then after that, they get past that point, they have other issues that has to be, you have to work with as a virtual assistant, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I try to keep track of what I'm doing and how much time it's saving them. And then I'll, try to go over that with them. I won't like send them a report or anything because that can get a little too convoluted, but, be like, okay, so remember this is what we were doing and see how far you've come. It's not about like what I'm doing for them. It's what they're doing for themselves because they're investing in themselves when they invest in a virtual assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important that people can see what's happening because sometimes maybe day to day that they're just handing off the tasks to you, but that they're not seeing the progress. You know, we have that issue ourselves. Sometimes we criticize ourselves, but we don't look back a year and see how far we will come. And I think it's the same thing with a business owner. They don't see how that project progressed or how the business has grown after you became involved, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it is like for all the virtual assistants listening, it is good to keep track of that because you do need to, for the business owner as well, but for yourself, because sometimes it can feel like, oh, I'm just doing all this administrative work. Like, I don't even know if it's going anywhere for myself or for them either, but it really is.
Yes, it's very important. We talk about some benefits. Can you give me a list of benefits, just real quick, of having somebody like you on our corner as a business owner?
Okay. A list of benefits. Biggest one is time. Obviously, you get more time to spend on the things that you love, whether that is in your business or even in your personal life. So you're not taking time out of your personal time to do all these little tasks that you don't like. And connections. Virtual assistants are crazy connected and we all kind of know each other. And, and if you need something done, we can most likely find whatever it is that you need pretty quickly. Because, as a virtual assistant, I know marketing specialists and social media managers and people that are experts in LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram, like people that are very specialized. I know all those people. So if I can't get you a task, I can find you somebody who can.
Right.
And I think that's kind of invaluable because it's hard to sift through. There are so many people out there doing so many things that if you can have a resource to be like, okay, I trust this person. So if they trust this person, then I'm going to go with that. So that's part of it. Another thing is something that we talked about. We are trained in these tasks. So like you said, something that might take me 20 minutes might take you 4 or 5 hours just because you don't know the shortcuts. You don't know the little things and you're not supposed to. That's okay. You don't have to know those things or you'd be a virtual assistant or right. It would drive you crazy because you'd be doing them all day. So we know all the little things and we're keeping up to date on the newest platforms, on the newest things to use and how to use our time wisely because we usually have multiple clients. So we're having to keep track of a lot going on. So we keep that all good for you and can, refer you to anything that you need.
Yeah, that's right. As a consultant, one of the things that I see that is parallel to you is that things that need to be done don't fall through the cracks. And your business look professional, and your business is seen as a leader when you follow through with the things that you need to do. And I think that's something that's really important that you do for small businesses, that you help them with those tasks that need to be completed, and just follow up and the emails or proposals, all the things that are part of business. But as a business owner, sometimes we fail to complete those tasks, right?
Because there's so much else going on.
Yes.
Like I just had a client who had a huge event and they needed their website fixed after the event. Well, they didn't need it fixed. They just needed, because the event was put all over their website. And so they needed it changed to the next one. And I had them ask me yesterday, they was like, oh yeah, I need all the dates changed. I'm like, I already did it. Good. I did it the day after the event was done, and he's like, oh, thank you.
Yes.
But it's just that kind of stuff that keeps it tight and keeps it running smoothly because we know all of those shortcuts. We know all those automations to make it easier on you.
Yeah. And that's really important because when somebody wants to do business with you, the first thing they're going to do is just check you out on Google. They're going to go to your website and they're going to see who you are and how professional you look. That creates that trust and that credibility that we need online, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So give me some examples of business owners that have hired you and they have some improvements that, you were able to help them with some growth or some peace of mind or more time, whatever it is whatever benefit that you brought to their business.
Yeah, absolutely. So about 2.5 years ago, I was actually working with a nonprofit and they were just starting out and they needed help with volunteers and with email campaigns and updating the website and that kind of thing. And so I stepped in as a kind of a virtual assistant. They were in my town, so I would go in every once in a while, but I helped them with a system for coordinating volunteers and automations on their website and emails that, they were just running so smoothly. A few months in to when I got going that they were just like, oh my gosh, we feel legit, because they were so new that they were hoping to just have somebody help a little bit, right? They just wanted, just a little bit of help. And then I just had this running like a machine and everything was going so well. It was for the homeless and we had to make sure that, they had meals every night and a place to stay and that kind of thing. And it was just like, everything was just going and they just, hey, Heather, everything good? I'm like, oh yeah, we're good. Like we got it all. So that was kind of my introduction into this world a little bit, was working with that nonprofit. But I do have a client right now who is, the one that I was talking about that sends you out about 20 emails a day. I'm telling you, they have ideas just coming out all the time. They have ideas for their business that are just always coming out of their brain. And they're very organized, but there's so much to it that they were spreading themselves so thin. And I have taken so much off their plate with making sure that their social media is on point and their people are getting emailed and their calendar is ready to go. And it was very sweet. One of the biggest things that they loved was I went through their email inbox and got it down to 0 because I filtered into folders, but there were hundreds, thousands of emails in there, and they were just so excited. Like, I think they posted about it on social media. They're like, oh, my inbox is at 0. They were just like, that was something that had been weighing on them. And that's what I think business owners don't realize is this stuff weighs on you, because if you don't get it done, you're just thinking about it all the time, right? Even if you don't realize it, that email that you should have sent to somebody, when you should have followed up with this person, when you should have updated your website, when you should have posted about this, all that stuff weighs on you. And you don't realize it until it's gone, until somebody takes care of it. And so I think that's probably my biggest success story, is that they were just so excited about that 0 inbox.
And I think email is one of the biggest loads that we have. When you open up and clear that email inbox, it clears our minds too. It just takes that weight off our shoulders. It helps thinking more clearly after that.
Because they get maybe 20, 30 emails a day, but they're able to go through them because they're like, oh, okay, that's all I have to go through. And if there's something important, I can flag it for them.
Yes.
But they don't have to constantly be thinking about it. They know that it's getting taken care of and they'll be okay.
Exactly. And that's going back to what I was saying earlier too, that what you do creates that professional appearance, in that you follow up with email, you answer emails from people that want to contact you or that want to do business with you. So it makes you really stand out in the eyes of that person that wants to deal with you, do business with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How do you get started? What was the spark that say, well, I want to do this virtual assistant and virtual services. I want to help business owners. What was the spark that got you started with that?
Well, it was back with that nonprofit that I talked about a couple of years ago. I had started kind of getting into that world, but I had 2 young kids, so I didn't explore it very far. But then 2020 happened. Hooray! And my kids needed to start going to school. And my daughter was diagnosed autistic 3 years ago. And she has behavioral therapists who weren't going to be able to go to public school with her, because in Colorado, the public schools don't allow outside therapists to come in. I think they do on specific things, but not with behavioral. So she had to go to private school, which is expensive, right? And I had been seeing these courses just kind of around on Instagram and Facebook. It's called Esther Inman's 90-day virtual assistant intensive, something like that. And she just goes through in 90 days everything that a virtual assistant could do. She gives you a snippet. I mean, I say a snippet. It was intense, right? It was very in depth of everything a virtual assistant could do, which is basically everything. A virtual assistant can go anyway, like anywhere they want, because they have the ground. Oh my gosh, the foundation. There it is. They have the foundation of, it's just so widespread that you can kind of pick where you want to go with that. But I took that course because I thought, you know what, I need to start making some money. I got to send my kids to school. And it fascinated me. I love people and I love organization and figuring out solutions to really weird problems, I think, is what I love to do. And it was just perfect. I took the course and I loved it, and I started getting clients within the next month or so, and it's just snowballed from there. I actually started out with an agency, which was probably a pretty good way to start because they kind of find the clients for you. So I didn't have to worry about marketing myself just yet while I was still learning how to do all of the virtual assistant stuff. But then within 6 months or so, I was out on my own and had my own clients, and it just keeps growing. And I keep finding places where my genius zone, where I love to be and what I love to do for my clients. And it just keeps going from there.
Nice. Now you said something about weird challenges. I think entrepreneurs, we're weird people. We just like the challenge, or we like the pain sometimes that we gotta endure.
Yeah, we're weird.
We go through. Yeah, we're weird compared to the rest of the world. So, so I'm gonna ask you about something that you learned years back, maybe when you were growing up. Any lessons that you learned back then that you still use today, whether in your own personal life or in business, something that you stayed with you all this time?
Well, definitely something that I learned very early was how to listen to people. Which to me, it just seems absolutely normal to just be a good listener. I've always been a good listener, and I love to hear people's stories, and I love to just sit back and let them go, because man, when you get people going on what they're passionate about, like it's the most beautiful thing to watch. And I remember people telling me that I'm such a good listener. And as a teenager or as a kid, I was always like, I'm just quiet. Like I just don't talk. Which, it just seemed so natural to me, because I could make people feel at ease and they could tell their story without judgment, without me trying to fix something. I just listen. And I think that helps a lot with my clients. Like I said, I try to get in their head and try to figure out, like, why are they stressing out about something and how can I fix it? And I don't, during the conversation, I'm not like, oh, okay, so here's how we need to do this. This is how we're going to fix this. I'm definitely not a type A personality. I'm able to absorb it and then figure out what to do. And I think that's probably the biggest one that I've had most of my life that I've only recently noticed isn't universal. Because at the event I was just at, there was a quote that really stuck out to me. What I see as ordinary, other people see as extraordinary. Yes. Which it makes sense once you hear it. You're like, oh, well, yeah, because not everybody can do what I do, obviously, or they would. But it's so natural for me to make people feel at ease and to listen, that when people say you're a great listener, I'm like, okay. But it helps.
That's an asset, because you let people talk, and eventually, once they get through the initial talking and they really start telling you what's going on, and you really learn to get to know people, to hear what really is going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because some people can dive right into it. I do know one person that can just dive right into whatever is bugging them, but they're incredibly self-perceptive. They can really see that, but most people need that time to get comfortable with you, even if they've known you for a long time, just in a conversation to get comfortable with talking. Yeah. In that conversation, they need some time to get to the root. So you're right. It is an asset to be able to just sit and listen and ask the right questions if they need it, but usually just to let them go through whatever it is they're going through.
Yeah. I was reading a book that talks about people are wanting to be listened to, because there's so much noise in the world. And sometimes you meet someone and they don't listen to you. They just want to talk about themselves. So when you are the person that wants to listen, it's because that person wants to talk. Nobody has probably listened to them. They have a story to tell. They have something they want to get out, communicate. And probably nobody has really given the chance to do that. So when you have that asset that you are interested in that person, you want to hear the story, you want to hear what's going on, you want to learn about them, I think that makes people really feel comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's such a shame, because everybody has something going on. Everybody has a beautiful story, and whether they think they're storytellers or not, they are. Yeah. You know, if you just give them the chance.
That's right. Yeah, and they're dying to tell you. They just want to, let's talk. Let me, and you know, a lot of those people too, you know, once they tell you their story, they want to hear about you also. Yeah. They want to, now that I told you about me, let me learn about you. What's going on with you? Where are you from? What do you do? You know?
Well, if they don't feel like you're just coming at them with, you know, well, this is me, and, you know, okay, yeah, I'll hear about you, but this is what I'm doing. It's that conversation of, you know, back in college with those one-up people. Have you met those people who just kind of anything you say, they're like, oh, well, actually, this one's better because I've done this and this is what I did. And I was so much better than you all the time. And that happens so much. And it drives me insane. Yeah. Like, life is not a competition. Yeah. You know, we can just talk. We can just have a conversation. I don't even have to say anything. And it can be the best conversation we've had because they're able to get it all out. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, some people, they have to have the last word. I want to hear from what you have, but I want also to have an exchange. I want to learn from you. It's not a competition.
And I'm like, you know what? If that's what you need right now, you just go ahead. I'm good. You just take care of you.
Yeah, that's right. Just have it. That's
all right.
So if someone wants to contact you, how they can do that? Do they have anything that you want to leave for my audience? Anything, last words?
Yeah, absolutely. So I told you before we started the filming and everything, I'm not taking any personal clients at the moment because I am just so booked, which shows that people need virtual assistants, and virtual assistants really need work. I have found so many. I'm so blessed to have found myself in both worlds that I can connect them and find, you know, the right one for the right client. And so I have started something called Rose and Associates, where I have started a resource bank of virtual assistants that I know need work. And it is not an agency. I just match. I'm a virtual assistant matchmaker. And so if you are in need of any virtual assistants, then you can find me at heatherrosevirtual.com. or email me at heatherroseva.com. That's Heather Rose, 2 flowers, and virtual assistant va@gmail.com. And just let me know what you need, and we'll try to find you somebody perfect for the job.
I was going to ask you tips to choose a virtual assistant, but I think it would be better for my audience to just contact you directly, and you can help them out with that. I think that'll be
because it's very personal. It's dependent on what they need.
Yeah, so that would be more accurate for people to find what they need. So, yes. Any last words? Any tips? Any advice? Anything that you want to say before we close?
I think the advice for business owners: don't be afraid. If it doesn't work out with a virtual assistant, if they're not the right person, you can just fire them. They're not even your employee. You can just say, let's end our contract. And it's really a lot less painful than you think. And it happens all the time, and it's okay. So it's not the end of the world if you do hire somebody and it doesn't work. So just try it and see how it benefits you. And then the rest will go as it's supposed to.
Good. Well, thank you, Heather. That was a really insightful conversation. I really learned more than I thought I knew, because I thought, you know, I dealt with virtual assistants before, but there's more than just having someone help you out. There's a lot more to what you do, what you offer. So I appreciate you coming on my show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, JC.
Yes. Yeah. And my listeners, her links are going to be just below the recording. Next time that you need someone to help you out, grow your business, have more time, enjoy life more, contact Heather. She'll help you out. She'll hook you up. And this is JC with Online Media 360. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. Until next time, bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.